This episode of Walt Disney World Today is sponsored by MEI and MouseFan Travel, who specialize in cruises and vacation packages to Disney and other destinations around the world. MEI and MouseFan Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner. They provide their signature services with no additional agency fees. To get your free no-obligation quote, visit www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, May 26, 2010, and this is episode 725 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hochberg of StudioCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Mike Scopa, a senior feature writer and blogger for allears.net. Welcome, Mike.
To primitive man, the oceans were merely a source of fear, fascination, and fish.
Norway?
No, it is not Norway.
Oh.
The living seas.
No, it is not living seas.
What accent was that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Living seas accent.
It's like a Captain Quint accent there.
Two men go into the water.
Sebastian from The Little Mermaid.
You go into the cage, sharks in the water.
It's just like
Cage
I always
in the water.
say, Your Majesty.
Farewell and adieu
got
to
to
you,
do.
fair Spanish lady.
What's the quote from?
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
I knew it was nautical.
Very good.
The
And,
nautical manual.
and returning once again is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. And Mike, I know the listeners are happy to have you back, but boy, am I glad to have you back, Mike.
Well, don't be happy yet. My computer's broke, so I'm pins and needles here.
Okay, well, as long as those pins and needles hold out, I'm good.
Let's try it.
All right. Well, it's a Wednesday, and we're answering your listener questions. And we're going to start with a question from Sarah, who writes, in episode 716, Jill from Worcester had a question regarding her Disney Vacation Club annual pass renewal coming up in June. In order to qualify for the 15-month for the price of 12 promotion, you must renew your annual pass within 30 days before or after the pass anniversary date. Plus, you must renew by August 31st, 2010 in order for that 15-month benefit to kick in. By allowing the pass to lapse until October, you miss out on the 15-month promotion, plus must pay full price for the annual pass. Just wanted to pass along this information to Jill and other listeners who may have had the same question. Thank you for all the hard work and dedication you bring to the podcast.
Also, Matt, isn't it true that brand new issued annual passes are not good for 15 months? Is that correct?
I'm not sure, Mike. I actually let when I got the 15-month promotion, and I had a premium annual pass, which I didn't want anymore, so I let that lapse, and I just bought a new annual pass. It wasn't the renewal rate.
Was it for 15 months?
It was indeed.
When did you purchase it?
December.
Oh, December. What about now?
Yeah, I'm not sure, and that may have been a Florida resident rate. Also, think so.
Yeah, a friend of mine went down 2 weeks ago and went up to one of the windows and asked, and they said, no, you cannot buy a 15-month annual pass. So I was just checking to see if you had heard the same thing.
Next email is from Nate Enthusiasm of Atlanta, Georgia. He writes, hey guys, love the show. I recently bought a D23 membership, and I'm starting to question whether it was worth it or not. I bought the silver membership, and right now it seems like I paid $35 for a 23-month calendar, which is pretty nice, a weekly newsletter, and 4 magazines with the latest Disney news, upcoming stuff, etc. All that stuff isn't bad at all, but I don't think it's worth the money. D23 members are also able to attend the flower and fireworks event, but it's a mess load of money that I do not have. Besides, all this backstage secret stuff from the Disney Imagineers telling D23 members all the things that are coming up within the next few years can all be leaked out by word of mouth a few days later on forums. And he goes on to talk about some other stuff here. But actually, and thank you for sharing your opinion there, Nate. But he actually writes, P.S. going to Walt Disney World soon, and I'll be sporting this shirt when I go to Epcot. I hope you guys like it. And this is the coolest shirt I've ever seen. So, guys, we're doing
look at that. That's cool.
Oh, no, I'm going to show it to you right now. This is a visual bit on an audio-only show. So take a look. I'm sending you the link now. Tell me what you guys think of the shirt.
Okay.
Stupid Judy. Oh, that's awesome.
I love the pose. I think that's what really sells it.
Does he walk around with the face and the thumb up the whole time, too?
That's what he does, yeah.
That's awesome, Nate. That is so cool.
Very, very
I
nice.
like that. Very nice.
Nice. Very good. Next email is from Amanda of the Disney College blog. Who writes, this is Amanda, Diz College blog on Twitter from Long Island, New York. I have a question about my upcoming trip in August 2010. Hopefully this is not followed by welcome back. My boyfriend and I are going, and we'd like to spend a week at the boardwalk. I'm wondering what things there are to do for 2 college students who are under 21. Will we be occupied for a few hours, or will we get bored before that? I've never been to the boardwalk area before, but I'd really like to be able to check it out. But I'm wondering if we're too young to really enjoy it.
How old are they?
Under 21. Yeah, there's if you go there in the evening, which is definitely the time to go. I mean, you can walk, you can do a loop around it. You could rent the Surrey bikes. You could see they have juggling or magic acts on there. There's a few midway things, but I don't think you'd be able to spend 4 hours there by any means.
Nope.
And what I like to do, I mean, even though I'm obviously over 21, and we all are, what I like
By 2 years.
I saw that one coming, man. I saw the barn door swing wide open. Anyway, I was going to say that, what I like to do at the boardwalk is not so much, spend so much time at the boardwalk itself, on the boardwalk, but rather I'll go, maybe have a meal or something and then wrap up the evening by maybe taking a walk around the boardwalk. After a meal, you like to walk off a little bit or, have a beverage after a meal. But, really, I go to the boardwalk for either the parks and something afterwards or, like I said, a meal in the area and then kind of use the boardwalk as a, something just to do for a little bit. Not like I spend 8 hours over there by any means.
I agree.
Next email is from Stephen in Ottawa, Canada. He writes, hello, Governor. I've
Hello,
really
Governor.
enjoyed listening to the show while planning my family's first trip to the world this September. I've now been working my way through the show archives and today listened to the March live show. Let me explain that free dining promotion actually costs more than just booking the room, around $90 more for a deluxe room. I checked it out online, and wow, I actually saved over $400 by switching from free dining to the room-only promotion. I definitely owe Len a few Carlsberg. You can check it out. I'm staying at the Polynesian from September 14th to 20th, which is 6 nights, and both the same exact package with dining and 7-day park hopper. That's a great tip right there. And I think one thing that Len mentions is that the higher up you're staying, like deluxe resorts especially, the free dining promotion isn't as lucrative as
just the value. It barely makes sense with the values, Matt. And when you hit the moderates, that's when it starts to not make sense at all.
Yeah, good point. Next, by the way, Mike, I was looking up the stuff about the Florida resident about the 15-month plan.
Yeah,
It's good. It's good through August 31st, like that emailer mentioned. And right now, it's only renewals you can get the 15 for 12. Florida
Right.
residents can get, like myself, can get an annual pass for 15 for 12.
Oh, that's cool.
But not for if Newell showed up there and said, "Hey, I want a new annual pass," and not renewing it, that's not eligible for it. So
Okay, so why is that? Why do you think they did that?
I think they're trying to get people who have annual passes who are thinking, money's tight, want to save some cash, and we're going to let it lapse, and then they get this thing out, and people are saying, well, I'd be stupid to let that go.
Why would they offer it to only Florida residents though?
It's a good question. I don't know why they wouldn't want to drum up some more business elsewhere. Very good question, Mike. I'm not sure. Always confusing is Disney.
Well, and I hate to take this time up at the show, but you and I before the show were talking about how airfare is very high, and what Walt Disney World would do to counter that, and why not offer a 15-month annual pass to offset that?
Yeah, it's a fair point, Mike. I mean, obviously the annual pass population of Walt Disney World is not that large of a population, but that being said, I mean, everything they can do to help augment the cost. I mean, obviously, if they're offering the renewal rate, for 15, why not do the new ones? And they can, again, get a few more butts in the doors,
Well, Walt Disney World, if you're listening, annual pass holders are your best customers.
You heard that, Scabetta? Very good. Stephen writes, a tip for your listeners with children, they might want to check out the 3D Disney World on Google Earth. My 5-year-old son loves to explore there and discover something new every day. That's cool. Nice tip. Stephen does have a question. My question is about transportation from the Polynesian. Are the resort buses the fastest way to travel to Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom, or is there a faster option at the TTA or Magic Kingdom? Also, what's the fastest way to Boma and Whispering Canyon? I cannot tell you how much I appreciate all that I've learned from you all. Thank you, A. He's from Canada, get it?
Hey, Governor.
All right, so I think from the Polynesian, yeah, it's got to be the bus from the Polynesian to the parks, right?
Yeah, because it goes right directly to the parks. Why not?
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is I think the Polynesian shares a bus with the Grand Floridian. But and then your other alternative is what? Go to the TTA and pick up the bus over there. I mean, you're going to walk all that way. It's going to be like the same difference. So, yeah, no real benefit there. Fastest way to Boma or Whispering Canyon? What do you think of that, Scopa? Staying at the Polynesian.
From the Polynesian,
Yep.
I would take I'd take the monorail to the Magic Kingdom, and I'd take a boat to Fort Wilderness.
You mean Wilderness Lodge?
Wilderness Lodge, right?
Right. What about for Boma? What would you recommend for that?
Wow, good question.
It says fastest, so I'm thinking taxi cab if you want the absolute fastest.
Yeah, it's either a taxi cab or no car. Yeah, because if you think of the taxi cab as being your own personal car, that
Right.
would be the fastest. I mean, faster than Disney transportation, unless you're calling the local taxi cab Disney transportation. So you're right, and it's probably $15, maybe 20.
Yeah, about that I would say.
Yeah.
And you got to if you wanted to take transportation, I think the fastest way would be
Scabetta?
Scabetta, yeah, him too. He's just answered all your problems.
Segway.
No, to go to the Magic Kingdom and then pick up the Animal Kingdom Lodge bus from over there.
Yes.
But even so, I mean, that's certainly not going to be close to being as fast as a rental car or a taxi.
Right.
Next email is from Michelle, a.k.a. Aristo Kitten. Hoorah. From West Des Moines, Iowa. Writes, hello, outstanding ones. I will not be at Walt Disney World at Christmas time. Even worse, I will be traveling 3 hours by car to visit my in-laws.
3-hour tour.
To ease my pain, I plan on burning some CDs of WDW Today to listen to during the drive.
Ooh,
I would
we
like
got
to
a cut of
assemble the
that?
10 best episodes to indoctrinate my husband to your amazing podcast.
Wow.
I'd love to hear your top 10 list of the episodes to date.
Oh my God.
Ouch.
What do you think, Newell?
Any of the 3 sipping snacks. Definitely the Tent Fest shows. The 500 episode was kind of funny, I thought. Most of our road shows are traditionally funny because we're having a good time with, we're in the parks or something. So a lot of our road shows, any of the Magic Meet shows are fun. Anytime that we're together, we have a lot of fun. Those are my favorite shows.
I also like the 4 Parks in One Day show, which was also a road show that you mentioned. Now I think about it.
Any of the Mystery Science Theater shows?
Yeah, those are fun. I would definitely not go below episode like 200. We were really like, hello, Mike Scopa, how are you?
Hello. I like Walt Disney World. Yeah.
We were,
Dining options, yes.
yeah, so definitely I think you're right, Mike. I think a lot of the live shows, any of the road shows we were doing, be it at Reunion, Mouse Fest, Magic Meets, Tent Fest, those are some really entertaining shows. So the Tent Fest live show was actually a lot of fun. I listened to that one recently, and that was actually funny, very funny to listen to.
Yeah, if you weren't there or you weren't part of it, it's definitely fun to. Well, to us, it's fun. I don't know if everyone liked it, but I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
We had a good time making them anyway.
Yeah. Scope, anything to add for recommendations?
I think I'd add the shows we've had Stacy on, and probably I think one of the shows I enjoyed, Matt, was when I think you brought on the parade show director for the parade at the studios. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was a good episode with Block Party Bash. Good one.
You know what else was fun? We did a series of shows. I think there were 2 where I think Deb was with us, and we went country by country in World Showcase.
Yes, wow, that's really old school right there.
But that was one of my favorite shows from the back in the day, and it still would probably hold up today.
Next email is from Nick Phillips of Vincennes, Indiana, who writes, he says, Matt, use your best Hulk Hogan voice for this one.
Bring it, brother!
Well, let me ask you something, brothers and Annette. I was watching the new WWE DVD about the rise and fall of WCW, and they spotlighted the time when WCW Saturday Night was taped at the Disney MGM studios, and even showed clips of Hulk Hogan in a parade on the streets of America when he signed with the company. Did any of you attend the TV taping? I know a few of you are wrestling fans, and I was wondering how wrestling was thought of by the typical park guests, and if any of the wrestlers were ever walk-around characters or appeared in meet and greets. Also, I was wondering if Scopa could give a first-person account on when he saw Jacob wrestle God in the Old Testament. I heard it was quite a match. And remember, what you gonna do when Hotchmania runs wild on you?
Oh, brother. Oh, brother.
Do you remember that, Scopa? The WCW stuff at the studios?
Yeah, it was during the Monday Night Wars, and I think that was about 10 years ago. And that wrestling match that he referred to, that was the first pay-per-view in history.
No.
No, WrestleMania 2 was the first one, wasn't it?
No, Jacob versus God.
Oh, that one. He's got his feet.
He got me on that. I didn't see that coming.
A swing and a miss.
One for Mike Scopa.
Ooh. Do you guys remember when Hulk Hogan was doing Thunder in Paradise?
Yes, that's what I was about to say.
That was at the
I-
Grand Floridian. He did a lot of stuff at the Grand
Well, they
Floridian.
did
for
it.
that.
They filmed all over property, but it was their central club or resort was the Grand Floridian. But my favorite,
Terrible
they used to use World Showcase a lot for different countries. Like he'd go into, Morocco, and just to see Morocco and Hulk Hogan, beating up people was my favorite of all time. Was when they used the Living Seas. And Matt, you remember back in the day they had the hydrolators.
Yes.
Those were jail cells. It was brilliant. It was so cheesy, but when you watch it now, it's like, oh my god, I can't believe anybody actually did this.
They used to have in the back lot tour. They had the huge water tank
That's
for
right.
Thunder in Paradise.
That's right. Forgot about that.
Next team.
I'm ashamed to say I have every episode on tape.
Wow.
Yo, I was a big fan.
I just heard Van fall out of his seat.
I was a big get up, Van. I was a big fan of that. No, you watch. You'll probably be emailing me. Yo, can I get a copy?
That's right. Next email is from David McDonough, who writes, "We're going to Walt Disney World, and you guys have a great website, so thank you very much. Actually, I found an awesome website. The site's called Eyes on Ears, and it has live webcams from Disney that people stream there from their room. Thanks for the show. I also wanted to say the guide rocks." Yeah, that's a good website. It's cool to be able to, when you're at work and you're seeing people walk by.
We streamed the very first Tent Fest on Eyes on Ears that first year.
We did. That's right.
We did.
Next email is from Charles Hardy, who writes, "I know this question sounds crazy, but if you were planning a Disney trip but didn't want to use a park pass, what kinds of things could you do?" Ooh, interesting idea. So, Scopa, going to Walt Disney World without going to a park. And I think sometimes people have this. They're going to be in the area and they go for a day or two, but they don't want to burn up, park days, or there's 1,000 different reasons that they would be in Walt Disney World area but don't want to have park admission being used for a trip. So what would you recommend?
Segway tour at Fort Wilderness.
Good one.
You go to Fort Wilderness and you do a couple things there. We talked about that, I think, on the live show. You could go to Fantasia Gardens, or you could go to the. Well, I guess does this include the water parks? I guess if you're saying parks, water parks would be included. Go to Fantasia Gardens, do some miniature golf. Go to Downtown Disney, do Disney Quest.
Rent a boat.
Take a boat. You can, I would say, go to Port Orleans, Riverside, and take a boat to Downtown Disney. You do a lot of things in the resorts. You could spend a day. You could probably spend about 2 or 3 days doing that kind of activity.
Yeah, the deluxe resorts really have a lot of great activities to go check out. Animal Kingdom Lodge, John Bohaus specifically, has a lot of different things that you can go check out over there. And
World of Sports.
Yeah, they just redid the World of Sports. So definitely resort hopping is going to be something great. So that's what you definitely, pick an area and just literally, go from resort to resort, check out what's going on, stop by the concierge desk at each resort, ask them for a list of activities. There's, at night, there's a multitude of events. You've got, at some resorts, they'll show movies on a blow-up screen, and it's completely free. They have for Wilderness, they have the campfire sing-along, and that's completely free. You have to get your own s'mores, but, it's those types of things that really, are options for you that you can do. So you can definitely have a great time at Walt Disney World without spending money on park admission, at least. Next email is from Sherry of Redmond, Washington. Writes, in a recent podcast, there was a discussion on the On-Learning Resort check-in. We used it for our trip this past September. This was our second trip to the world and our first time staying on property. We arrived at the Orlando airport at 5:15 Sunday afternoon, jumped on the Magical Express, and were at our resort, Port Orleans French Quarter, checking in just over an hour later. By 6:45, we were in our lovely room. We had the most fantastic room ever, Building 3, a corner room, king bed, clean, quiet, and peaceful, and close to the main building and pool. The Island Resort check-in worked well for us, and from this experience, we'd do it again. Have you guys used online check-in recently?
I've never tried it. Nope.
Nah, I've never done it either.
Yeah, the last time I stayed on property, I just don't remember to do it. That's the thing. And I get there and I'm like, whatever, I'll just talk to the people. Next email, I read that email already, is from Aaron Bregel of Seattle, Washington. I've been trying to talk my girlfriend into a trip at Walt Disney World, and a deal maker will be if we're able to sell her on the dancing the night away at the park after the parks have closed. She enjoys swing, salsa, etc., but I don't think there's a place like that, like the Plaza Garden stage that Disneyland has for this type of dancing. With the closure of Pleasure Island, just where do we go to dance at Walt Disney World? I'm sure she would enjoy club dancing, and I'm aware that Atlantic Dance Hall Boardwalk, but I'm not sure that's a complete replacement. Any suggestions?
Wow.
The Atlantic Dance Hall?
That was the only one I had in mind.
Yeah, the Atlantic Dance Hall is kind of weird, though, Aaron. It's like you've got, like, they play all sorts of weird music, and you've got a real range in ages there, from, like, 20-somethings to, like, senior citizens and everything in between.
Careful.
Sorry, Mike. So it's not like if you're looking for a club type atmosphere, no. If you're looking to go try out that new dance routine that you learned in dance class, sure, it's a great place for that. I think some other options you might want to do, it's not so much dancing as it is enjoying live music, would be Jelly Rolls, which is right across from Atlantic Dance Hall on the boardwalk. And not so much dancing as it is making a fool of yourself, and all but in good fun, Yeehaw Bob over at Port Orleans French Quarter. So it's not quite dancing. If you're looking for real dancing, though, and club type stuff, you gotta take a cab or rent a car and drive on over to City Walk at Universal. That's probably your best option. Alternatively, if you're really looking to dance and that doesn't cut it for you, downtown Orlando on Church Street has some decent options for nightlife as well. Next email is from... What's our next email from? Oh, it's from Kevin Z of Fort Wayne, Indiana, who writes, my wife and I are in need of some advice from the WDW Today Brain Trust. We are early risers and usually have an hour or two to kill before heading off to a park. Do you have some early morning activity suggestions for us? We usually stay at the Boardwalk Villas and eat our breakfast in the room. What do you think, Scopa?
When she says, does she mean before the park's open? Really?
Yeah, before the park's open. They wake up early. They're like, like to wake up maybe a couple hours early, but, they got time to kill. So what would you recommend to someone who wants to have time to kill before the park opens in the morning?
Well, what I've done is I've jogged. You could jog around the park, jog around your resort, take a nice brisk walk. I think that it would be a good idea to see when your hotel restaurant opens. You can get an early breakfast, and then you can get an early start on the day. I think that in the summertime, you could, if you're really adventurous, you could take a dip in the pool. I did that one time in July, and I didn't realize how cold it was at about 6:30 in the morning when you come out of a pool.
That's a good idea. I like the early morning swim idea.
Yeah, swim idea, walking. Getting. I mean, again, I love running in the morning down there, so that would be the things I would be thinking about.
Yeah. Also, you mentioned breakfast, and that's a good option. I mean, go to get that early morning. Usually the first one for in the parks, it could be as early as 8 a.m. for a sit-down breakfast. But if you can't get anything earlier, the resorts may have varying hours of operation for their breakfast. I mean, get that early morning breakfast and, be able to enjoy it a little bit and then head over to the parks. Or, better yet, schedule for the park that you're going to be going to and just have breakfast in the park at 8. Get that 8 a.m. ADR, and then you'll likely be done by the time the park opens, so it'll work out pretty well.
Exactly.
Next email is from Stuart Sternberg of Howell, New Jersey. He writes, you guys have an absolutely amazing podcast. It just keeps getting better and better. And I know I can download and listen to past episodes, which I myself have done. But I was wondering if you could consider adding a best of show once a week or even a month from your favorite segments on past shows. I also think a campaign should be started to get Len Testa a Pulitzer Prize for his work on the Unofficial Guide. There you go, Newell. It's a good idea, but I think you got enough on your plate right now, don't you?
Yeah, just one more thing for me to do, sure.
Do the best of.
Yeah, who?
Very good. Well, I think it's time for our last email of the day. And I'm going to give Newell 3 emails to choose from. One gets read today. The other 2 go back into the email queue to be answered later. Are you ready, Mike?
It's been a while, so go easy on me.
I'll try my best. Your options are, I wanted to knock down the door with 3 exclamation points afterwards. Mickey's very merry. Matt, you are my nemesis. There is a great new band called the B-52s.
Ah, wow.
What?
I'm interested in the first one. I wanted to knock on the door or beat down the door.
You never go for the email I think you're going to go for. Never.
See, that's the beauty of me.
That's what we tell Mary all the time. Last email today is from Naomi from Michigan, who writes, "Hello, friends. We just got back from an 8-day trip that was fabulous for the most part. We stayed at the Polynesian and had a great time, but 4 days into our trip, we had neighbors move in. Now, we have 3 little girls, ages 3, 5, and 6, and who can be very rambunctious. But between the fact that we enforce peace in the room and the fact that we wore them out either at the parks or in the pools every day, they slept long and woke up happy and quiet every morning. Not so for the people next to us. They appeared to have children somewhere between the ages 2, 5, and 8. They went to bed about 10 o'clock every night, and up to that time, shouted, screamed, and kicked the walls. Then between 4:30 and 5 every morning, their youngest was up screaming for hours. One day, it was literally about until 3:30 until 7. Now, granted, it sounded like he had some sort of a cough, and they were trying to give him some sort of medicine or breathing treatment, but still. Thankfully, it didn't wake up our kids, but it did wake us. So what do you do? Our rooms were separated by the double doors, and I took the extra blankets and draped it between the doors to hopefully help some. It didn't. My husband wore earplugs, but even with them in, I could hear their loud cajoling him to take his medicine and pitiful cries, coughs. I considered complaining, but what would they do? Offer us another room? We loved our view and had so much stuff all spread out, it would have taken us hours out of our vacation, something we didn't want to do. Perhaps we should have. Are there rooms within those doors? Is it worth it to ask for a room without? Are the walls just that thin? What would you have done?
Wow.
Well, if this was more than one night, I would. If it was more than one night, I would complain. I would go to the front desk and I would complain. I would say, I'm paying to have a nice restful vacation at night, and I can't because there are guests who are very loud, and there's a certain limit to how loud you should be able to go. And one night is one thing, but 2 nights in a row would be something. I think that after the second night, Matt, I would really complain, and I would say, if you want me to come back, you need to show me that you're going to at least talk to them and ask them to be quiet.
Yeah, I think you're right, Mike. I think you got to give them. Everyone has a bad night. Okay, I mean that's going to give it. You can't jump the gun, and it is very frustrating. But you got to give everyone at least a mulligan, But when it happens twice, I agree with you, Mike. I would definitely complain. And for me, I would actually. I know they said moving wasn't the best option, but I would ask to be moved just so that because Disney can only do so much. You know what I mean? And I hate to put the cast members in that kind of a situation because it's like, you can complain, you can tell them, but, they're not going to get kicked out of the resort, nor do you want them to.
Oh, well, you go up to the front desk and you say, you look at them and look at them very sternly and say, well, either you can take care of it or I can take care of it. And then see what happens.
What do you think, Newell? What would you have done?
Well, I wouldn't put myself in the position of, getting in the middle of it. So I would do like Mike said. I would go to the front desk. Yeah. It's not worth the hassle of dealing with people if they're having a bad day. They're going to give you a bad time. So
right. Oh, absolutely.
So I would go to the front desk, and it seems like a lot. They had 2 little ones of their own, and like they said, they probably had the room loaded with all kinds of stuff, and it's a hassle. But you know what? Sanity is also a godsend.
Absolutely.
And I have done it before, not at Disney, but I've done it before, where I just call the front desk and I complain, and right away they will move you. And they upgraded me, actually. They gave me a much better room than what I had. But they knew that there was a baseball team of kids, not like, it must have been like a high school team. But they knew that they were there, and they knew that they were, making a ruckus. So they, accommodated me because I'm a paying guest. And they are too, but, there's like Mike said, there's only so much you can do. You got to give other guests a break.
Yeah, no, you definitely. I agree with you. You got to say something. Don't be a martyr. Don't sit there and suffer with it. Again, everyone deserves one day, a bad night, but afterwards, you got to say something just so that it's your vacation, like Scopa said, and you have to be able to enjoy it. Certainly, you shouldn't be afraid to go back to your room. But saying something to Disney and not them is probably the best way to go, and just keeps everything nice and civil. So very good. Well, that's it for us today. Don't forget, this episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And, I mentioned at the top of the show that the Wine and Dine weekend package is available. That's a 3-night package from $133 per person based on double occupancy over in it's at September 30th, 2010. And there's lots of great deals also. Free dining is back. If you book by August 14th, 2010, you can get free dining valid on select nights August 15th through October 2nd. So check it out, see what's available out there. Lots of great deals, and they're all available at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel at www.mousefantravel.com. If you find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments. Visit the WDW Today website at wdwtoday.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. We're on there, and we tweet somewhat interesting things on there usually. Sometimes, it's Newell's Bus Ride, and sometimes it's something about Disney World. But you know what? It's all interesting, we think. So check it out. WDW Today Podcast on Twitter. For Len Testa, Mike Scova, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.